झांझुआ राजपूत घराने से हूँ और मेरे खानदान की रगों में हमेशा ही फौजी खून रहा है। उस वक्त मैं हिंदुस्तान को एक अंग्रेज की नजर से देखता था।
अंग्रेजों का नमक खाया हमने, उसे खारिज कर दूं मैं?
लेकिन जब नजर साफ हुई तो मेरी समझ में आ गया, आजादी के लिए लड़ने वाली अगर कोई फौज है तो उसका नाम है आजाद हिंद फौज।
खानदान दी पग तार तार करके हुण रिश्ते गिना रहे हो।
You are charged with Indian Army Act Section 41, waging war against the king.
कसमें खाई थी कि अंग्रेजों के खिलाफ लड़ेंगे, चाहे खुद की जान क्यों नहीं चली जाए।
अंग्रेजों के खिलाफ हम तीनों साथ लड़े हैं, मुकदमा भी साथ ही लड़ेंगे।
Hello and welcome. I'm Amritanshu Rai and you're watching Law of the Land on Raj Sabha TV. Today we bring to you the Right of Children to Free and Compulsory Education Amendment Bill 2017. To discuss the issue, I have with me Professor C.B. Sharma, Chairman, National Institute for Open Schooling, Mr. Naveen Kumar, General Council Member, All India Primary Teachers Federation, and Mrs. Malvika Rai, Expert, Primary Education and Literacy. Now for the highlights. Bill extends deadline for attainment of minimum qualification for elementary level teachers. Nearly 11 lakh teachers out of the total 66 lakh still need to attain qualification. Right to education is a fundamental right and is mandatory for the government to provide education to all between 6 and 14 years. The Right of Children to Free and Compulsory Education Amendment Bill 2017 proposes to give the state governments time till 2019 March to ensure teachers recruited to impart elementary education attain the required qualification. The existing law had provided a deadline till 2015, which could not be achieved by state governments. As of now, the state governments are trying to implement free education with the help of teachers, many of whom do not meet qualification level prescribed in the law.
The Right to Education Law of 2009 specified that teachers at the elementary level who did not have minimum qualification as mentioned under the law should attain it by 31st of March 2015. But since there are not enough qualified teachers, several states have been implementing the law of providing free education by recruiting teachers even who do not meet the requirement criteria. According to the data of the state governments, of the 66.41 lakh teachers recruited at elementary level, 11 lakh do not have the required qualification. In order to ensure that all teachers recruited till 31st March 2015 acquire the minimum qualification, the proposed amendment extends the period for such training for 4 years up to 31st March 2019.
Crucially, we have to ask the question first of all, does the government, the central government, and do the state governments really hold education as something that is crucial? Because I presume we push what we feel is really required. Okay, so when you ask the question, why did they not meet the deadline? The answer really is, did I think that it was a really important thing?
The minimum qualification for primary level teachers as prescribed by National Council for Teachers Education is Senior Secondary School Certificate or Intermediate or its equivalent and Diploma or Certificate in Basic Teachers Training of a duration of not less than 2 years or a degree in Bachelors of Elementary Education. The minimum qualification for upper primary level teachers as prescribed by NCTE is senior secondary school certificate or intermediate or its equivalent, and diploma or certificate in elementary teachers training of a duration of not less than 2 years, or Bachelor of Elementary Education or graduate with Bachelor of Education or its equivalent.
तो सरकारी जो संस्थान हैं टीचर ट्रेनिंग के वो बहुत कम हैं, और सरकार उन्हीं में टीचर ट्रेनिंग कराती है उन पैरा टीचर्स की जो ऑलरेडी काम कर रहे हैं, जो पूरी तरह से शिक्षित नहीं हैं, क्योंकि 90% शिक्षा जो है वो प्राइवेट हाथों में चली गई है, निजी संस्थानों के पास, और वो जो टीचर वहाँ से निकलते हैं वो वेल क्वालिफाइड नहीं होते। दूसरे हमारे जो ऑलरेडी टीचर काम कर रहे हैं उन पर इतना बोझ है गैर शैक्षणिक कार्यों का कि वो पूरा समय शिक्षण कार्य लगा नहीं पाते, और इससे शिक्षा की गुणवत्ता प्रभावित होती है। तीसरा जो प्रमुख कारण है समझ में आ रहा है कि सरकार इतना लंबा सोच को खींच रही है कि हमारे बजट में बढ़ोतरी नहीं की गई है, जबकि सरकार ने कहा था कि हम 6% शिक्षा पर खर्च करेंगे, जबकि यह 4.25% के आसपास सरकार खर्च कर रही है।
The bill will enable the in-service untrained elementary teachers to complete their training. It will also ensure that all teachers at the elementary level in the country have a certain minimum standard of qualifications. The bill was introduced by the Minister of Human Resource Development, Mr. Prakash Javadekar, in Lok Sabha on April 10, 2017.
The proper implementation of the bill would result in improvement in quality of teachers, teaching techniques, and consequently learning outcomes of children. This would lead to reinforcement of government's emphasis on improving elementary education. With cameraman Narayan Singh, Dipali Pandit for Rajya Sabha Television.
The right to education came into effect in 2009, and the first deadline for teachers to be trained and completed was March 2015. It's been nearly 7 years now, and we still have about 11 lakh teachers who do not meet the qualification. So 2009, 2010, the bill comes into effect, and since then, we are in 2017, 2015, the thing expired, the deadline expired, and now the extension again is only till 2019 March, not even for 5 years, because now we are in 2017. Is this bill of any use?
Look, we are in a catch-22 situation. The bill was passed in 2009, but really came into effect on 1st April 2010. You will remember the Prime Minister of the country addressed the nation. This is one single act for which the Prime Minister addressed the nation and asked for time. As soon as an act is passed, it becomes the law of the land. But why did the country pass an act and say we will implement it 5 years down the line? So in effect, this came into effect on 1st April 2015. Now there are some basic questions. This act was passed in a hush-hush, in the sense the government came into power and the government said we will show our performance report in 100 days, and suddenly this act came and was passed. We had about 24 lakh teachers to be trained. Leave aside other conditions that were laid out in the act. We had about 24 lakh teachers to be trained on 1st April 2010. In 5 years, how did the government plan to do it? It was bound to fail on the very day it was implemented. So the major condition today is on 1st April 2015, when it had to come into effect, and it was said that all teachers would be trained, all training stopped on that day because the National Council for Teacher Education said, deadline gone, you cannot train any more teachers.
Okay, so it's very according to what's written.
Yes.
So my point is,
a law which was made to fail the day it was passed in the parliament.
correct. Now we are trying to correct those, and we've got an amendment bill in place. This government has gotten an amendment bill which tries to extend the deadline to 2019 March, and the bill comes in 2017 and it lapsed in 2015. So in view of these dates that are there in the policy, do you think this is again a recipe for failure?
No, I think you will have to answer this question in a different manner. You have, as you said, about 11 lakh teachers. I believe there are 8.5 lakh, 2.5 lakh in the government sector, about 6 lakh in private sector, private schools, 8.5 lakh. We cannot train them through the traditional face-to-face mode. First, we cannot close down our schools, send these teachers for training and then ask them to get trained. The schools will have to be closed, so that's not an option. The option remains that they should work side by side, they do self-study through distance mode and acquire the certificate, diploma, degree, whatever they have to. Now, distance education is very, very flexible. You cannot just say that you must study for 2 years to do something. I must give you that flexibility that, okay, if you are a fast runner, run it in 60 seconds, or if you want to run slow, run in 200 seconds. What we can do is, we can say the period would be 2 years, but those who can work hard, like let me give you an example. We have about 6 months of in-service training. These teachers are already in school. They have been teaching.
They have experience.
What we would require to do is to do some remedial practice teaching. In the sense that you have been doing this in the class, which is not really correct, start doing this. So don't insist on that 6 months attachment to a school.
Right.
Do a remedial thing in the school, and that can be done side by side.
But Professor Sharma, in what you're trying to suggest is, so that means another amendment should be brought in, trying to relax the 2-year prerequisite for training and or give it a more expansive description and policy so that the 2-year frame can be packed into 6 months or it can be gathered over 4 years, something.
Two things can be done. This need not be a part of the act. This has to be done by the National Council for Teacher Education, which decides on the norms and procedures for training of teachers. Presently, it has said you must do it in 2 years and no less. It will have to re-look at its norms and say that, okay, those who can complete the school-based activity within this period are good enough and are qualified. Second is, we say that the period is extended up to March 31st, 2019, but those who are not able to complete all the components would be allowed to complete even after that, and that we can say can be 1 year. Don't insist that you acquire the certificate or diploma by 31st of March. No, then it won't work.
Okay, that's the point. I would request you to address the matter on the quality aspect. First, you have to train teachers who are already experienced, partly. Then you've got to give it to them within a deadline. That is 2019 March. And then you have to ensure that quality is provided. Now, to get all these three things together, how big a challenge is it? And do you think National Open School has the bandwidth to address such a big challenge?
Look, it's very interesting that from the very beginning we have started compromising with the quality, because we are saying that it is not possible to train so many teachers, and the only thing possible is maybe the distance education. That is the mode. And then how rigorous or how good the quality of the distance education is going to be with the varied kind of teachers and varied kind of schools with varied experiences. And what are the checks and balances? How are they going to, by distance mode,
achieve that goal?
Achieve that goal, which is
and
really
get the desired outcome.
Absolutely. When we are actually not getting that desire with so many institutions in place
already,
and teacher, all kind of teacher training, diploma, certificate, B.Ed, BLEd, but we are still do not think we are there. The quality is really poor. If we just take a holistic, look
approach
at the...
Absolutely. I completely understand your point of view. I'll ask you, sir, अगर आप पूरी तरीके से देखें, एक तो 24 लाख सरकार ने रिक्रूट क्यों कर लिया अनक्वालिफाइड, जबकि क्वालिफाइड लिखा हुआ था पहला, क्या उसमें उसकी वजह क्या थी? और अगर कर भी लिया सरकार ने, अगर राज्य सरकारों ने कर भी लिया, तो अब उसको ठीक करने के जो रास्ते दिखाए जा रहे हैं या बताए जा रहे हैं या सुझाव के तौर पे आ रहे हैं, क्या वो किसी भी हालत में संभव है?
सबसे बड़ी बात तो भी जो हमने इस एवी में देखा कि वो मैडम कह रही थी कि इच्छा शक्ति नहीं है सरकार में जो है। अभी जैसे 2015 में डेडलाइन पूरी हुई थी और 17 में उसको पूछ रहे हैं, उसको एक्सटेंड करने की बात कर रहे हैं। दूसरा, जो अभी कोरस्पोंडेंस की सर बात कर रहे थे, अब भी हमारे यहाँ पे हरियाणा, दिल्ली और ये एमपी, राजस्थान, यहाँ पे जितने भी ये बीटीसी और ईटी के नाम से कोर्सेज चल रहे हैं, इनमें टीचर्स को बिना जाए सर्टिफिकेट मिल रहे हैं, वो ऑलरेडी कोरस्पोंडेंस से है। और वो जब टीचर रिक्रूट होकर स्कूलों में आता है तो वो बच्चों को वो जो उसका सर्वांगीण विकास होना चाहिए, जो उसको पढ़ाना चाहिए, वो उसको पता ही नहीं, क्योंकि वो कभी गया ही नहीं। तो वो कोरस्पोंडेंस वाली हालात तो सर आज भी हरियाणा में और मध्य प्रदेश में आज भी लागू है।
नहीं, मैं आपकी बात एकदम सही है। उसमें मैं ये जानना चाह रहा हूं कि वो तो मैं समझ गया, लेकिन ये जो सिस्टम में सर्टिफिकेट लेकर के प्राइवेट एजुकेशन से जो टीचर्स आ रहे हैं, उनका उसको आधिकारिक तौर पे वो कितना सही है या गलत है?
बिल्कुल गलत है सर। इनको जो है सरकार को इसके लिए जो है अपने सेटअप बनाने चाहिए, अपने जो है डाइट जो है उनकी संख्या बढ़ानी चाहिए थी, गवर्नमेंट डाइट की संख्या बढ़ानी चाहिए थी, उसमें जो प्रोफेसर हैं उनकी क्वालिटी होनी चाहिए थी। अब उन डाइट्स में जहाँ पे बच्चे जा ही नहीं रहे हैं तो वहाँ पे प्रोफेसर हैं कहाँ? हैं ही नहीं। प्रोफेसर जो हैं, जो टीचर्स को ट्रेन करने वाले हैं, वो हैं ही नहीं। और अगर ऐसे ही पढ़ाना तो फिर जो 12th पास करके आता है सीधा उससे ही पढ़वा लो आप, ठीक है। अगर
लेकिन रिक्रूट क्यों किया सरकारों ने, राज्य सरकारों ने? आपको क्यों लगता है रिक्रूट किया? क्यों? क्या मेरा जो सोचना है या मेरा जो अजम्पशन है इस मामले में कि 2010 में आप कानून ले आए, फंडामेंटल राइट बना दिया, सर राज्य सरकारों को वो गोल प्राप्त करना था, तो उन्होंने किसी को भी जो भी आया उसे रिक्रूट कर लिया, ऐसा था क्या?
यही है,
यही कारण है।
बच्चों की संख्या बढ़ गई और वो बच्चों का अनुपात जो है राइट टू एजुकेशन के हिसाब से रखने के लिए इन्होंने जो जैसा मिला उसको जो है रिक्रूट कर दिया।
It's time for us to head into a break. When we come back, we will discuss other significant provisions of the right to education law. Welcome back. The Right to Education Act 2019 is effective from 1st of April 2010. The law makes education a fundamental right and seeks to provide compulsory education to every child between the age of 6 and 14. It also prescribes minimum norms in elementary schools to standardize education.
The law clarifies the meaning of compulsory education as an obligation of the appropriate government to provide free elementary education and ensure compulsory admission, attendance and completion of elementary education to every child in the age group of 6 to 14 years. The law also clarifies that no child shall be liable to pay any kind of fee or charges which may prevent the child from pursuing and completing elementary education.
I think it's progressive again because the act in itself has given a lot of focus to the education, and education being the fundamental right for children is a kind of big step, and India is one of the very few countries in the world which is having this fundamental act for right to education. To my mind, I think it's really an act and a bill which is a good instrument to achieve what we really want to achieve and what we have committed to the global community.
The law prohibits physical punishment and mental harassment of children, screening procedures for admission of children, capitation fee, private tuition by teachers, running of schools without recognition.
Now they have extended the deadline for another 4 years. But we are closing down teacher education institutes because they're not registered or they don't have quality. Now, I would think that instead of closing down institutions, you try and ensure that the quality is maintained, because there is some effort that goes into setting up an institution, right? So, if after I have made a building, I have got some people, but I am not able to hit certain standards, then come to me and train me to hit those standards, right?
The law provides for rational deployment of teachers by ensuring that the specific pupil-teacher ratio is maintained for each school rather than just as an average for the state or district or block. This, according to the law, is likely to ensure there is no urban-rural imbalance in teacher postings. Law also provides for prohibition of deployment of teachers for non-educational work, other than census, elections to local authorities, state legislatures, and parliament, and disaster relief. It provides for appointment of appropriately trained teachers with the requisite entry and academic qualifications.
The government brought the Right to Free and Compulsory Education Law 2009 to make education compulsory and a fundamental right for every child. Under the law, the involvement of teachers in non-teaching activities such as census duties or election duties is a concerning issue as children are being neglected due to this. With cameraman Narayan Singh, Dipali Pandit for Rajya Sabha Television.
Let's try and understand the nuances of teacher training and where the bottlenecks are. सर, सबसे पहले आपसे मैं पूछूंगा कि एक तरफ तो ये कहा जाता है कि प्राइवेट टीचर्स जो ट्रेनिंग इंस्टीट्यूट्स हैं, जो बात आई भी सामने, वो सक्षम नहीं है या वो रिकग्नाइज नहीं है या वो कानून के मुताबिक नहीं है, कानून के हर एक पैमाने को वो मीट नहीं कर पा रहा है। लेकिन दूसरी तरफ सरकार के पास ना तो क्षमता है कि 2 साल के अंदर इतने सारे ट्रेनिंग इंस्टीट्यूट बना दे और ना वो बनाना चाहती है शायद। ऐसे में इच्छा शक्ति की कमी है, शायद उसमें पैसे भी ज़्यादा लगते होंगे सरकार के। इस ऐसे में टीचर्स ट्रेनिंग आखिर हो तो कैसे हो?
इनको जो जितने भी प्राइवेट इंस्टीट्यूट हैं उन पे जो है मॉनिटरिंग करनी चाहिए। उनकी फीस स्ट्रक्चर है वो लूटपाट की तरह चल रही है। जैसे मान लो कहीं पे आप ना जाने के पैसे ज़्यादा लगते हैं, जहाँ जैसे हरियाणा में जो जितने भी चल रहे हैं वहाँ पे जाने वाले टीचर्स की जो स्टूडेंट उनकी फीस अगर 18,000 रुपये तो ना जाने वालों की 40,000 रुपये कि आप कभी नहीं आओगे, आपको कुछ सबमिट नहीं करना, कोई प्रोजेक्ट नहीं बनाना। तो इनकी मॉनिटरिंग होनी चाहिए, इनके ऊपर कोई निगरानी होनी चाहिए और कब तक एडमिशन हो रहे हैं और किन के एडमिशन हो रहे हैं, तो इन पे निगरानी बहुत जरूरी है।
मतलब आपके मुताबिक प्रायोरिटी है ही नहीं शिक्षा, ही नहीं, क्योंकि ये कानून जो है सिर्फ एक आइडियलिज्म के तौर पे बनाया गया है।
हाँ, अगर जैसे जीएसटी जैसी इनकी नीयत होती तो इसमें आज तक कुछ न कुछ हो चुका होता। अब जीएसटी पे जिस तरह इन्होंने रात को भी जो है संसद को लगाया और ये सब किया, तो अगर शिक्षा में
जीएसटी से तो सरकार को पैसे मिलने हैं ना, तो
इसमें खर्च हो रहा है। तो ये चाहते हैं कि धीरे धीरे जो है, अभी मैं आपको बता दूं इन्हीं सब चीजों के चलते 2 लाख सरकारी स्कूल बंद हो चुके हैं। तो मतलब सरकार का पैसा बच रहा है, अच्छी बात है। देश का भविष्य बर्बाद हो रहा ना।
ऑन द क्वालिटी ट्रेनिंग is the first big challenge. There are complications there, and now we are talking of at least getting the quality aspect. Where do you see the priority of the issues that you think should be important for such a big thing?
We need to really understand and have a dialogue on what quality are we talking about. What do we understand by quality? Just by saying these minimum qualification, does it ensure that the person coming with this degree would really be a capable person or a capable teacher inside the classroom? How do we judge that? I mean, you can get a degree from anywhere. So how are we judging the quality? We just heard the video that you played, that we are talking of enrollment, we are talking of admissions, but we are not talking of pedagogy. We are not talking of quality inside the classrooms, how capable the teachers are, or how capable our teacher education institutes are in giving that education to
just
teachers.
trying to retrace the steps in the priority aspect of attaining a certain level of standardized education imparting to all students equally across India. Pedagogy, the word that you used, quality education being imparted, is nowhere in the priority list.
It's nowhere. I mean,
yeah. Sir, would you like to address that?
Yes, I will definitely like to address. Look, I have been closely involved in teacher education, and when I hear this discussion, I have to mention a few facts historically.
Yeah.
See, when did mushrooming of teacher education colleges happen? It was only after the Right to Education Act was passed. In the name of training so many teachers, suddenly we saw coming up with so many teacher education institutions, and they were all opened with some sort of influence, pressure and things like that. And what my colleague teacher activist is saying, that in spite of all these colleges, they were given permission through corrupt means to get corrupt money. We have to mention this across board. Now, what happened as a consequence? These colleges were established through some means other than academic, and from day one again, like the act was passed just to satisfy the nation that we have passed this act. It is not sufficient to say that India is one of those rare countries which has passed the Right to Education Act. You had to make preparation. You did not make preparation.
Absolutely.
The government had to show scorecard of 100 days, and so this act was passed. Don't forget this fact. 100 दिन में शिक्षा नहीं होती है, और आप 100 दिन में जब राइट टू एजुकेशन पास करते हैं तो यही परिणाम होता है. नाउ व्हाट इज द स्टेटस टुडे? See, you have to train these teachers through distance mode, where the teacher will have to spare time beyond school hours for self-development. This again was not done. As soon as this government came in power in 2015, it read the situation, it visualized the problem, and then two developments took place, which we are forgetting. Material has to be, or content has to be reached to these teachers at doorsteps. SWAYAM was planned. The whole nation has worked for 3 years on developing a SWAYAM platform. We have put everything on MOOC. Any teacher from anywhere in the world can access, read material, listen to the lectures, do one's own assessment, and then interact with the teacher. That is the 4-quadrant SWAYAM platform. It is now ready. Last week, the President of India has launched it. And we have again another platform as SWAYAM Prabha. Channel 32 of the direct-to-home television is a 24-hour teacher training channel where we have developed the content. Don't forget, in last 3 years what the work has been done. Now we are ready with a situation where the teacher in his or her own school, at his or her residence, can access material, talk to teacher, trainer, get one's doubts cleared, and write the exam.
So bottom line, 2019, will you be able to train 11 lakh teachers by 2019 March, yes or no?
Yes. Why? Give the autonomy and flexibility to the distance education and let the teachers work. Learning is directly proportional to effort made. Teachers will have to work hard to acquire all the competencies that they need to, and they will acquire. Those who lag behind, those who do not give that time, those who do not apply themselves would not be able to.
Point taken. Do you think quality will be ensured?
I
The way,
extend
with the
my-
confidence level that he said 2019,
but
he'll
it's-
be able to
but
finish
it's
off
also the
training.
tagline which he added, that those who are not efficient, are not inclined, are not motivated, and that is a huge number of teachers who are, for some reason, either due to the system or the reason they came into teaching, it completely, they are not motivated. And
सर, आपको लगता है 2019 तक इतने लाख टीचर्स जो प्राइमरी एजुकेशन जिनको देना है, उनको ट्रेनिंग प्रदान हो पाएगा?
क्वालिटी वाला एस्पेक्ट है वो और ज़्यादा नीचे ही गिरने की उम्मीद है, क्योंकि सरकार की प्रायोरिटी पे कहीं पे भी नहीं है शिक्षा जो है.
And sir, quickly.
See, state governments have not been very serious. Let me give you data of one state. West Bengal, we had assessed in 2013 end that there was 25,516 teachers untrained. Today they are saying they have more than 80,000 untrained teachers. From where did they come?
Point taken.
If the state governments keep behaving in this irresponsible manner, like the West Bengal government has done, we will never be in a situation where all teachers are trained and trained well.
Moving on, my colleague Dipali Pandit spoke to Dr. Prashant Bhalla, Chancellor Manav Rachna International University.
According to you, what could have been the reason for the delay in attainment of target 2015?
The main reason, as per my understanding, what I could get was that primarily there has been a shortage of nearly 10 lakh teachers who were not able to get that requisite qualification, both in the government as well as private sector. So that was the primary reason because of which the government has to extend this date.
What is your overall opinion about this bill?
See, right to education, since it came, it was always meant to support the education at the elementary level, to ensure that anybody who's at the age of 6 to 14 should get education, and then there was supporting ecosystem that was defined, whether it was a no detention policy for students, so that the onus of delivery comes on the school or the teacher itself.
Thank you, sir and ma'am, for joining us on this discussion. It's time for us to end the show. You can email your suggestions and comments to law.rstv@gmail.com. You can also watch our shows on the RSTV page of YouTube. We'll be back with a new issue and a new episode. Keep watching Raj Sabha TV.